My name is Leroy. 6 months ago, had a bad sciatica. It was to the point where I had a hard time walking from my boat to the parking lot. There were times where I had to, a lot of times where I had to just lay down or sit down because I couldn't walk any further. And it was very, very uncomfortable, to say the least. It was nice that I got exposed to the Disc Institute, Dr. John Harper, and this was a month and a half later. I'm able to walk. I'm able to do things that I couldn't for the last 6 months. I'm recovering on a really good level now, and just makes me happy that I found the Disc Institute, because my life is starting to go back to where it was before I had this sciatica. The icing was really important, and the exercises are very, very important. And coming here on a regular basis with the laser treatment and the stretcher. I'm not so sure of the proper name of the machine, but it all worked, and I'm a much happier person because of it. So if you've got a bad sciatica, I'd say stop in and see Dr. Harper here at the Disc Institute and let him check you out. It's nice to be able to walk again. Take care.
Hi, my name is Lori Escalera, and I live in North County, Oceanside, and I came to see Dr. Harper in June of 2011. I've had degenerative disc problems for 15 years, and I fell last year, and when I fell, I couldn't get my footing again. I couldn't work. I couldn't sleep at night. I had so much pain. I saw Dr. Harper's ad in the paper, and he offered a complimentary visit. I figured I had nothing to lose, maybe some sleep to gain. I came to see him, and within the first visit, I slept better at night. Within the second visit, I slept phenomenally well. So I decided to enter his program, and we did a combination of decompression and laser and exercises, and I'm happy to say at the end of my treatment I'm sleeping really good. I've learned to manage my pain very well, and I'm still doing the exercises that Dr. Harper introduced me to, and I'm very pleased with the program and the caring staff and the friends I made coming to Dr. Harper's Disc Institute. I think you should try it, and you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And best of luck. Thank you.
My name is Roger Gaffey, and I am a patient of Dr. Harper's, and just finishing up an extensive period of working with him. We commenced an extensive Disc Institute improvement program on October the 3rd, 2011. And that consisted of a true axial spinal decompressions, new life laser treatment, oxygen therapy, spinal rejuvenation therapy, whole body vibration therapy, lumbar back brace, ice packing, and specific exercise programs with re-exams. That sounded like a lot. I didn't know what all those things meant when I entered the program, and I have a better understanding of that now. Completed the treatment today, which is February the 15th, 2012, and entered the program with disc bulges and degenerative discs causing really severe sciatic pain down my right leg. I had to give up golf, couldn't walk, barely, and was in really a lot of pain down the right, primarily down the right side. After all of the treatment, the pain is gone, has been gone for many weeks. I can now do Saturday morning 1.25 mile walks with my buddies again. I'm getting back to playing golf, taking baby steps. Dr. Harper recommended, don't go to the first tee with the driver yet. And I have a continuing improvement program of exercise, which is really very valuable to me, of stretching and weight management. A side issue would be family life is improved because of my improvement with my health. I would say this program, I would recommend it to anybody with those types of issues that go on. And I just did a thumbnail sketch and really feel that about 86 to 90% improvement since day one when I entered the program. And I'm shooting for 100%. So I continue to work on it myself, and I think that's an important part of the program, giving you tools when you walk out of the office here to take care of yourself and your health. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So we're here with Ashley and her mom, Steph, and they wanted to tell everybody a little bit about what we did here at our office. So Ashley, tell us a little bit about the problems that you had before you came into the office.
I came in basically not being able to walk or anything. I was in a really bad car accident and proceeded to work at my labor-intensive job of being a pet groomer for a year. Saw multiple doctors over the year span. Nobody could tell me it was wrong. And walked in here. Dr. Harper took a look at my MRI and my X-ray, and was like, I know exactly what's wrong with you. And it was like an answer from God. It was absolutely amazing after all I'd been through. And I had 4 herniated bulging discs that had pressed on the nerves in my spine and caused numbness and tingling and loss of feeling in my legs and my hands, which of course grooming not so good. So I had to take a break and everything, and now I'm feeling much stronger, and it's remarkable. For a while there, got very down, didn't think it was going to get better, and the encouragement of you and the staff here and everything, it was more like coming to family, and that you guys were really here to help. So it wasn't like a doctor. So
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. That's great.
And I have my daughter back now.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it was real rough on you too, Steph, huh?
It was unbelievable. It happened in November, and for a year thereafter, 24 years of age, she was working, doing her business. She'd come home, she'd ice up for the 20 minutes, and she'd go straight to bed. For a year, there was no social life. There was nothing that whole year because the pain and the swelling was so intense. And then she had a neck injury, and it was too much for anybody. And like she said, we'd go to these doctors, and it was like, well, yeah, you've got a herniated disc, and you've got probably 4 of them, but all that we can tell you is bed rest. And they didn't quite get, she's self-employed, so how do you equate the two? And so she did reduce her work schedule to try and accommodate, and working only 4 days a week, 2 days off 1, 2 days off 2, that whole year. And still, it got worse and worse.
of course, everybody knows we have bills and rent to pay and
Oh, God, yeah.
animals to take care of. So
Right.
I just couldn't stop. And the most frustrating thing was one doctor told me that I had the herniated disc, and that if I kept going and working and doing what I was doing, I may need to have major back surgery. And that was like the worst thing, because I know people, my aunt's friends who have had it and have to get it replaced like every 8 years because your spine rejects it. And it was like, I don't know, I've watched my mom my entire life be in pain because she's been handicapped since I was little from car accidents, and I didn't want to spend my life suffering like that.
Good. So, and you touched on it just a little bit, but I always ask people about this. So, and how were we with when you came in? How did you feel about the respect and the honesty and the professionalism?
I mean, I've been to a lot of doctors in the last year, and a lot of chiropractors, a lot of acupuncturists, a lot of everything to do with the body. And coming in here with Adriana up front, she always has the biggest smile on her face, and she's got the sweetest, kindest eyes you've ever seen of anybody. And then coming back here, even when I would have days where I would be in so much pain, I get so sad and depressed, and I would come in here, or I'd miss an appointment or something, and be too embarrassed to call and cancel. And I'd come in here, and it wasn't like you were scolding me, it was like you were supporting me and pushing me. And it was just really nice, because it was kind of like a dad or an uncle or something who really genuinely cared about you, and it wasn't like it was a doctor and I'm the patient and you've got 700 other ones today. So it was very awesome.
That's great.
And a lot.
Extremely professional. And like you said, we looked elsewhere, and one place was like a factory. It was
Yeah, it was
like
like
an
an
assembly
assembly
line.
line. Like they messed up my name twice. And they had a file in front of them, so
Very great.
I was like, okay, I can believe it.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, and believe me, Ashley and stuff, it couldn't happen to two nicer people. So I am so blessed to have you guys here, and I'm glad that you got your life back, because that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Unbelievable.
Good, good. All right. Hi, I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I'm here today to let you know that you too can beat back, neck, disc, and sciatic pain, and you can do it naturally. Using structural protocols, functional neurology, and functional medicine, by putting all three of those together, you can fix the underlying cause of those problems, and you can do it without the dangerous side effects of drugs, shots, or surgery. So, who am I to be talking to you about this? Well, I'm Dr. John Harper, DEC. I'm a chiropractor. Been in practice here for 28 years, coming up on 29. I have personally consulted and examined and treated over 7,100 patients in that time. A lot of experience there. I am a board member of the American Functional Neurology Institute. Less than about 250 of us across the United States. Very grueling test to take. And as we go along, I'll tell you why neurology is so important in taking care of these problems. I've been granted numerous awards and certifications in those years. I regularly attend conferences and symposiums to stay on the top of the newest research, diagnosis, and protocols. I'm a third-generation Southern Californian. I live right here in Oceanside. I actually have 4 children, and I actually have 4 grandkids, and I want to show you here the newest edition, our newest 5th generation. This is my grandson that was born here in December of 2014. You notice he's smiling, and like I tell people, I told him my best joke that day. So let's get into it here. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. When I was 21 years old, I was actually scheduled for back surgery, and I was all set and ready to go. And as I was stepping out of the doctor's office, I had terrible sciatica. I had bulging herniated discs in my back. The surgeon said the only way I could get that fixed was with back surgery. And I was ready to go out to the receptionist and schedule my appointment for my surgery. And just as I was leaving, he says, "Oh, by the way, I need to let you know something. There's a 10% chance that you'll be paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of your life from this surgery." Well, boy, that sure got my attention. And as a 21-year-old guy, I wasn't much into crying, but boy, I went home and I was crying and I was sad. And thank goodness I called my best friend up and I told him what the doctor had said. And he said to me something that totally changed my life. He says, "Hey, maybe you should go see my chiropractor, see if he can help you." And I had never even heard of such a thing. And I said, "What's a chiropractor?" He says, "Well, that's a doctor who uses your body's own ability to heal itself." I said, "Wow, that sounds great." Now, I am, to this day, glad he didn't say, "Well, that's a guy who cracks your back." Because I felt like I needed somebody to uncrack my back. I felt like it had already been cracked. And I went to Dr. Stephen Sales in San Clemente, and 2 months later, I was back to work. A month later, I was back to exercising. And about that time, he handed me a book, and the book was called "So You Want to Be a Chiropractor." And I went home, and I read all 180 pages that night, and I was at his office the next morning before he even got there, and I said, "Where do you sign up? This makes sense. I want to help people the way you helped me." And that's how I became a chiropractor. And after 7 years of school, after passing a national board test, the same kind that physicians take, after passing a grueling state board test, I received my license in 1985, and I opened up my practice in 1986. And here we are, almost 29 years later, still loving what I do. So let's talk about spine and disc damage, all right? First of all, unfortunately, it's so very common. It's so common that about 20 million people suffer from it every year in the United States of America. It's the #2 cause of lost days of work after colds and flus. Billions with a B, billions of dollars are spent every year on chronic back and neck damage. Many mistakenly believe that pills, shots, and even surgery are the only options for relief. And believe me, we see a lot of the devastating effects of people who chose that route before they came to see us. So let's talk about some common indicators of spinal damage. Back and or neck pain, well, pretty obvious. You can have one of your legs or both of your legs or one of your arms or both your arms having problems like pain, burning, numbness, tingling. Let's add weakness to that as well. You can have foot and or hand problems, same thing, pain, burning, numbness, or tingling. Weakness, atrophy, you can actually see the muscle wasting away, stiffness, fatigue, aggravation. It doesn't bother you, but you sit in the car for a while and you go to get out and you've aggravated your back, or you sit at the computer or sit watching TV or reading and you've aggravated your neck. Loss of your ability to perform your regular daily tasks. Very common thing that I hear where people tell us that they're not able to do their job, not able to enjoy their grandkids, not able to clean their house, even clean themselves, to take care of themselves properly. What a shame. And then there's the unassociated neurological symptoms as well. What are those? Well, loss of balance, peripheral neuropathy, tingling, numbness, burning, pain, weakness in your arms and hands, in your legs and your feet, vertigo, dizziness, lightheadedness, visual disturbances. You can even get depression and anxiety. I'll explain a little bit how that all happens. Brain fog, memory loss, headaches, low sex drive or loss of erections in men. You can have irritable bowel syndrome. You can have digestion problems, mood swings, and more. And all this is due to the effects of spinal pain on your brain. So some common treatments, all right? Now these are the medical and structural treatments only. They don't include the metabolic and neurological treatments that we use. So physical therapy, they do stretches, exercise, weight loss, heat, electrical stimulation. There's obviously painkillers where they just go up into the part of your brain that perceives pain and puts it to sleep, and that allows the damage to go on without stopping it and without you even knowing it's happening. You can have epidurals, injections, and these are just anti-inflammatory steroid injections into the spine, and very common procedure, yet not very effective. And then you get another round of epidurals, and then there's surgery, and then another surgery. Or you might have tried chiropractic where they just do the structural treatment like adjustments and physical therapy, exercises, ultrasound, those kind of things. Sometimes this stuff works, but for something that's more serious than that, you need more serious treatment. So let's talk about facts about surgery and epidurals. Well, statistics shows that only about 1 in 100, right? 1% of back surgeries are successful in relieving pain. Isn't that amazing? Some procedure that they tell you, this is going to help you and you're going to feel better and get to go back and doing those fun things, and only 1 in 100 of them work. Most surgeries take place again with 1 to 5 years. This is one of the standards in medicine that they say, well, this is a successful surgery. Not so much that you're out of pain, but you didn't have to have another one within 5 years. That's like saying, hey, you should buy this car because there's a good chance you'll get about good 2 years out of it before you have to get another one. I don't think you'd buy that car. The brain habituates to stimulus. So like when you put your socks on in the morning, you feel them, right? But after a while, you don't notice that you're wearing your socks, right? Because your brain says, well, I don't need to pay attention to that. But, if you take an epidural shot and it works the first time, well, then the brain and the body get used to it, and usually it can't work the second time or the third time. So chronic spine conditions, we have all kinds of issues, all right? You could have degenerative discs, you can have bulging discs, you can have a herniated disc, you can have thinning discs, all right? You can have a disc degeneration with osteophyte formation, generalized arthritis in your spine. So there's a lot of problems that can go on in your spine that can cause lots of symptoms and disability. So there's another thing is that it's called stenosis, also known as narrowing, closing off of the spine. And as you look right here, here's a nice wide spinal cord inside the backbone, but because of the damage and degeneration going on in the spine, that spinal cord is actually closing in on that spinal cord. This is a very serious problem that, again, it needs some very serious treatment. So let's talk a little bit, let's start talking about what makes me different. Well, what makes me different is that I am well aware that all chronic illnesses are a combination of neurological and metabolic problems. And if you have those things, then that requires proper neurological treatment and proper metabolic treatment. So in my office, we take care of a lot of chronic health problems because they have some common threads. So you have chronic neck and back pain. We take care of peripheral neuropathy, thyroid conditions, insulin resistance, diabetes type 2, fibromyalgia, vertigo, sciatica, chronic fatigue syndrome, hypertension, stenosis, irritable bowel syndrome, insomnia, migraine, and chronic headaches. Now, all of these chronic health problems have some common connections. A lot of them have metabolic imbalances like anemia, chronic inflammation, unstable blood sugar, adrenal gland dysfunction, hormone imbalances, autoimmune attacks, where your body is attacking itself rather than attacking germs. We see this very common in our practice. Hidden infections, food sensitivities, medication side effects, again, very, very common. Hypoxia with these low oxygen levels in your blood. There's also neurological imbalances where you have decreased firing of the brain or the nervous system, and this causes fatigue. This is fatiguing of the nervous system. So let's talk about the metabolic part. So what I say is metabolic or metabolism is you eat food and your body converts it into energy. So important to have the proper energy in your body and make it available for the tissues to use. Now I have a question. 30% of our energy goes to what system? Is it the endocrine system, the digestive system, nervous system, the immune system, or the cardiovascular system? Which one do you think it is? Well, the answer is the nervous system. The brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. See, we need good metabolism, energy, for a well-functioning brain. Your nervous system almost takes up a full 1/3 of the energy. Our nervous system only makes up about 7% of our total body weight, but uses almost a full third. And we need a good brain for a well-functioning spine. Folks, your brain tells your body how to do everything, including how to get the spine to function properly. So to put it another way, if you had bad metabolism, bad energy, that's going to fatigue your brain and your cerebellum. That's going to cause structural damage to the spine by causing muscle tightness, discompression and injury, joint misalignment, pinched nerves, degenerative arthritis, and again, stenosis. So for permanent results, all three areas must be properly treated. You have to address your structural, you have to address the neurological, you have to address the metabolic. And have you had all three done at the same time? See, patients come to me all the time and say, oh, I've had decompression, oh, I've had laser, you know, I've had somebody tell me that I need to take certain vitamins or eat certain foods. But I say, well, did you do it all at the same time? They say, no. And I say, well, you know, that's like getting in your car and you turn the key, but you don't put it in drive. You're not going anywhere, all right? Or you could get in your car and put it in drive, but if you don't turn the car on, it's not going anywhere. See, there's certain sequences of things that need to be done in your body to get your health back. And you need to do all of them at the right place in the right time, or otherwise you're not going to have any chance of getting better. So the leading cause of back, neck, disc, and sciatic pain, well, uncorrected damage of back or neck. This causes spinal degeneration. Brain cerebellum issues, or metabolic issues like chronic inflammation. We're going to talk a lot about that are caused by food sensitivities, inflammatory foods, hidden infections, all right, poor omega-3 to omega-6 EFA's balance, high insulin issues, blood sugar problems, and hormone imbalances. So here we are with our chronic spine conditions. And if you notice by looking at this here, this is our spine, and this is a normal disc. So we look for from the side of the spine. Here, this would be the belly. Here's the spine, and here's the bumps that you see and feel on people's backs. So this person is turning facing this way to the left. So when we look here, we look for normal square bones and normal wide discs. And as you notice, here's degenerative disc where the disc is rotting. Here's a bulging disc where it's bulging out toward this nerve hole. Right here we have a herniated disc where the soft jelly inside is bulged into the nerve frame in there. And then also we have a thinning disc. And then we also have the degeneration of the disc with spur formation, osteophyte formation, or better known as bone spurs. So all these things have problems in common. So the common trait of a damaged low back is your lower spine is compressed, placing pressure on the nerves that go to your legs and your feet. Well, you have the same issue in your lower neck. If these discs become compressed or smaller, that's going to, or bulging, that's going to put pressure on the nerves in your neck, and that's going to cause problems into your arms and your hands. So this is a common trait of a damaged lower neck or a damaged lower back. So how do we get the pressure off those nerves? How do we open up those discs? Well, we use a treatment here called spinal decompression. It's one of the many weapons we have in our spine disc recovery program. So here I want to show you here. Now, some of you have already used spinal decompression, but I'm going to give you a little more information on it and maybe why it didn't work for you. So when we look at this, let's think of these little beads here on this thing. Let's think about this as your spine. And as you're lying down on the table and we do the decompression, it's going to pull on you. Now, when people go and have traction, well, traction just pulls apart your entire spine. But if you notice these little red beads, they're not very pulled apart. They're still pretty close. So when we do decompression in your neck or your back, we gently pull on these very specific areas. As you can see, we're separating them. So what happens when we separate the vertebrae? Well, the disc that's in the middle is kind of like a sponge, except for this sponge is dead and the tissue inside your spine, if we get to it soon enough, still alive. So here, this is what it is normally when you're walking around, sitting, lying down, that the bones are too close to each other and that's compressing this disc, causing more damage. When we do the decompression specifically at that joint, it gently pulls the vertebrae apart. Now, it opens up that sponge. Now, if I took this sponge and put it in a bucket of water and let go, what's going to happen? Well, there's water going to go inside the sponge. Same thing. We're kind of juicy on the inside, and as the vertebrae are pulled apart with the decompression, it sucks oxygen, nutrition, and more importantly, fluid back into the disc. I want you to think of your bad disc like a houseplant that you didn't take care of properly. If you get to that houseplant soon enough and you give it light and food and water, what happens? Yeah, it grows back, doesn't it? And sometimes it grows back even better than it was. And that's the same thing we can do for your disc. And so in addition, so what's going on with this decompression, as you're lying on the table, you can see you have a brace around your waist, or you have a little carriage thing for the head and neck that gently pulls on it here if we're going to work on your neck. And this is connected to a computer. And we tell the computer what we want it to do, how specific, the area, the angle of pull, how much, how long, and we're going to gently work those discs, getting the oxygen, nutrition, and fluid back into the disc. Now, sometimes people say, oh, this looks scary, like the rack. It's going to hurt. Well, my staff tell me that they have to wake the patients up about half the time. And most of the time, the patients are saying, oh, come on, give me 5 more minutes, you know. This feels so good. I feel so relaxed having this work. Because your body's healing. And that's what it's all about in my office, is getting things better for you. So what else do we do to repair the spine and disc? Well, we use lasers in my practice, all right? And by using the laser, this is just amazing thing. The laser actually can cause the cartilage to grow back. It can actually cause the nerves to regenerate, because it has been scientifically proven to increase ATP production in the nerve. What's ATP? ATP is the energy source that every one of your cells has to make so the tissue can work right. So how does that work? Well, as we have here a spine, and so what we do is we will shine in the laser into both sides of the spine. So it's going to work the nerve and it's going to work the disc here. Now, people say, oh, lasers, oh, those cut me, those burn. Well, those are those kind of lasers that do that, that can use for surgery, they can use it for cutting metal and other products. But what this does is that this goes on with photon energy, and it shoots deep inside the spine. It's called cold laser or low-level laser for a reason, because it doesn't cause any heat, it doesn't cause any burning, and so it just causes healing. And so how does the photon energy cause the disc to grow back? Well, think about this. The sun up in the sky sends us energy through packages of energy called photons. The photons hit the leaf of the plant. What does the plant do with the leaf of the photons? It grows more plant. This is why you have to put plants in the sun, because they take those photons and grow more plant. We do the same thing. We have very specialized lasers that are tuned specifically for these problems to go deep into the tissue and to cause the nerve to grow more ATP, more energy, and then it also causes the tissue of the cartilage to grow back. Just like the plant makes more plant, cartilage makes more cartilage. So how does this work? Well, it's a specific wavelength of light that has been scientifically proven to go into the nerve cells and stimulate energy production inside the neuron, allowing it to heal. The light also stimulates microcirculation, the very teeny tiny capillaries that feed the nerves and feed the discs. Very important to have those working right. Also, it increases lymphatic drainage. What's that? Well, the lymphatic system is like the gutters of your body. And so when you have a big rainstorm and the gutters are all filled up and blocked, what happens? Well, all that water goes into the street, causes a dangerous situation. When you don't have proper lymphatic drainage, what's going to happen? All that swelling and inflammation just irritates the tissue and causes more damage. So the effects are, these effects cause decreased pain, decreased inflammation, and increased tissue growth. So I want to show you here one of my favorite patients. This is Jim. Jim came in here, terrible back pain, terrible sciatica, burning, tingling, numbness going on in his feet, really upset. Guy retired from the military, wanted to get out and have fun and play golf and have a good time, and for years he hadn't been able to do this. He had been recommended, he had had shots, he had taken pills, he had gone to physical therapy, he had done exercise classes, he had done all kinds of things, and now they were recommending surgery. So a friend recommended him come to my office. If you look here, his pre-X-ray before we started treatment, everywhere you see these blue arrows, there's supposed to be a big disc space, all right? So when we look at the spine from the side, we should be able to see these square bones and a disc space sitting in between. So if you look here, there's a little bit of a disc here, a little bit of this here, but hardly anything here and hardly anything here. Well, after 5.5 months of treatment, we took another X-ray. And look at the dramatic improvement here. Look at all those disc spaces. Isn't that amazing? 100 years ago when I was in school, we were told that you'll never fix discs, right? But the technology, the science, the incredible improvements and the ability for us to help people in natural ways has changed all that. And so guess what? Jim comes into my office one day, hugs me, and says, yesterday was the greatest day of my life. I said, Jim, what happened? He said, I got to go play golf with my buddies. First time in 8 years. First time in 8 years I got to go out and enjoy playing golf with my friends. Now, I'm not much of a golfer. If you ever saw me, you would realize that. But there's lots of things that I love to do. I love going out in the ocean. I love playing with my grandkids. I love going to the gym and working out. I love dancing. I mean, for a big guy, I'm a darn good dancer, and I love that. And if I had some issue that was taking those things away, that would make me really sad. It would make me frustrated. And if I wasn't able to get some help from the medical profession, I'd be angry at them because, they're supposed to help me there. And instead, if I just get loaded up with a bunch of drugs or some kind of surgery that's going to affect me for the rest of my life, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a fix. I'm looking for something to make it better. All right? So let's move on from the structural and let's start talking with the brain. So when you have a problem with the brain, all right, then you get a brain malfunction. Now, I don't mean that there's a tumor in there. I don't mean that you're about ready to have a stroke, you have an aneurysm. I don't mean anything like that. Your brain can get in and out of balance. Just like your body can get out of balance, like the different muscles can get out of balance, the brain can do the same thing. And this is why I do brain-based therapy. So, how is brain-based therapy different? Well, what I do is there's very simple little exercises and little funny things that we can do that stimulate certain parts of your brain. And just like I can hand your arm a weight and you can exercise it and you can build up your biceps muscle by doing curls, we can actually build up different parts of your brain and get that working better. So let's talk about one of the parts of the brain is the cerebellum. Now that's this walnut-looking thing here in the back of the brain. Here's the frontal lobe. Here's the occipital lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and here's your cerebellum. Well, your cerebellum is really important because if it starts to go bad and gets fatigued, you can lose your balance, which we don't want you to have. The number one cause of death in the United States of people over 60 years old is falling. Who in the world wants to write on their tombstone, "I fell down"? All right? I know I'm being a little facetious here, but come on. This is ridiculous. This is so easily avoided, falls. So we got to fix that loss of balance. Vertigo, again, another balance problem. Chronic neck and back pain. Clumsiness, dropping things, incoordination, stumbling. Again, all these things are from cerebellum fatigue. And the cerebellum controls all of your eye reflexes, your accuracy, and your spinal muscles. If you have a bad cerebellum, you've got a bad spine. Your cerebellum tells the spine how tight to make the muscles so you can stay upright. Some of you people are starting to fall over forward and bend forward. That's an indication you got a bad cerebellum. If we don't start fixing that cerebellum, you're just going to keep on bending over more and more. Sometimes people talk about this big hump they get started on, especially women. They start getting this big hump back here, Dowager's hump, and they say, "Oh, I don't want that. That's so unattractive." Okay, that's a cerebellum problem 95% of the time, and I know how to fix that. So the cerebellum and brain require a couple different things to function properly. First, it needs good fuel. So good glucose, proper oxygen. We're going to talk about that part of it in a moment. But it also needs activation. It needs brain exercises, and it needs other kinds of activation as well. So one of the great things that we do in our office, that there's only one other office in all of San Diego County that I'm aware of, that uses what's called the HOCAMed, all right? It's HOCAMed horizontal microcurrent therapy. And this works great for back, neck, disc pain, and sciatica. So let me tell you a little bit about this. This is a machine that was originally created in Germany years ago to work on post-nerve transplant patients. So say like somebody breaks their arm, and they break it so bad that it damages the nerve that lets their brain talk to their hand. So what they'll do is they'll go in and cut off those bad parts, and either from themselves or from a cadaver, they'll go and take another nerve and they sew it in there. Now, that's some pretty amazing surgery to put in a dead piece of nerve into a new thing. Well, before HOCAMed horizontal microcurrent therapy, not a very good results. Only about 10% of the people that had the surgery got good results. After this machine, about 85%. That's dramatic. That's a huge improvement. And a good friend of mine, Dr. Ed Beyer, out in Chicago, he found out about this machine, and as bright a guy as he is, he says, well, look, if this is good enough for, putting a dead nerve in somebody's body and making it work with the live nerve, maybe this will be something that we can make with the nerves of our body that are still alive. And he's absolutely right. And it works great. So what does it do? Well, it stimulates the nerve electrically. It blocks pain. It improves blood flow. Again, super important to feed those nerves and discs. It stimulates the nerve biochemically. It allows for greater metabolism and healing. And it reduces inflammation locally. So the big difference about this and many other machines is that there's 100 different forms of electric currents out there. All have biochemical or bioelectrical effects on the body. Horizontal microcurrent is the only electric current that has both. It's the best and it's the most state-of-the-art. I know it started about 20 years ago, but I have the newest, best model, and that little stinker is 25 grand, and boy, that was a hard check to write, but I'll tell you what, I would write that check 100 times again because it is the best equipment that we have in our office right now that is so unique and so cutting edge that it just makes the difference, all right? And when the nerves start to die off, they need to be stimulated. And the HOCAMed horizontal therapy is the best there is. Harper Natural Health Solutions is the only clinic, well, we're the first clinic, but now we're one of two that has it. So how about peripheral neuropathy rehab therapy, or PNRT? What the heck is that? Well, it's a pretty amazing little piece of equipment. Some really bright guy came up with the idea that, you know, if the way your brain talks to your nerve is through a certain frequency and wavelength of electricity. Well, if we could recreate that wavelength and frequency in a box electrically, we could stimulate the nerves. So what I do for part of my program is that this is something that you take home and you get to keep for the rest of your life. See, my perception is that I have 3 jobs when you come to see me. First, I'm a detective. I'm going to get to the underlying cause of your problem to make sure that you are a great match for the protocols that I use. Second of all, I got to be a great doctor. Working together, we're going to work together over a period of time to fix this chronic problem. We're going to take care of that structural, neurological, and metabolic problems that you have, and I'm going to help you right along every step of the way. But one of the things that I take the greatest joy in is that of a teacher. I'm going to teach you to not only take good care of yourself, I'm going to teach you how to take care of yourself for the rest of your life. Just think of the time, energy, and money that you'll save if you're not spending the rest of your life going from doctor to doctor. My patients are sick, and they have so many doctors that they have to go to. They got to go to the heart doctor. They got to go to the nerve doctor. They got to go to the back doctor. They got to go to the neurologist, the cardiologist. They got to go to the endologist. They got to go to the endocrinologist. They got to go to the internist. My goodness, you know, sometimes these people pull out their calendars, and I just, oh my gosh, you know, there's some names of people I don't even know what the heck they're doing. They're going to so many doctors, and then they whip out all these medications that every one of these doctors has written 2 or 3 for them. It's crazy. I had a patient the other day. She came in with 15 medications, all right? I told her to bring them all in. And she puts them on the table. And I said, you know what? Do me a favor. I want you to separate these into 2 piles. First pile is for the original medications, and the second pile is for the medications that you're taking for the side effects, the symptoms that these original ones are taking care of. Guess what she did? She moved 6 here, 9 here. Guess what? 9 of these medications are to cover up the symptoms that the side effects from these other medications are coming from. I don't know about you, but that makes me mad. Now, I know I'm getting a little off track here with our PNRT, so let me come back to that. So this is for you to take home. This is for you to keep. This is yours to have forever. And the information on how to take care of yourself, how to eat right, how to take care of yourself, what supplements you need, that's for you for the rest of your life. So that's great. I love that. So what else can we do for activation and repair? Well, along with the decompression, the laser, the HacoMed horizontal microcurrent therapy, the take-home PNR unit that you get for daily use, vibration with oxygen. We have a medical-grade whole-body vibration unit that you stand on, and it has a computer that randomly moves the platform around. So what that's going to do is, as your spine gets healthier, as you're moving and wobbling like that, the muscles are alternating, moving around your spine, contracting and relaxing and all of that. So that's going to rehabilitate your spine just by standing there. Also, you're going to be doing oxygen at the same time. And why the heck do you need oxygen? Well, the brain and the cerebellum consumes more oxygen than any other part of the body. So, and as we age, our ability to absorb that oxygen and get it delivered to the tissue decreases. So you're going to be breathing 90% oxygen. Now, this isn't out of a tank. This is out of an oxygen concentrator. And you're going to have your own personal cannula that goes in your nose or in your mouth, and you're going to be breathing this while you're on our therapy. This stuff works really great. It's amazing. So let's talk about some of the metabolic stuff, all right? Like chronic inflammation. This is a huge problem. This is one of the main reasons why people are so sick in our country. Chronic inflammation. Inflammation means to ignite, but in Latin, the direct translation means to burst into flames. And you can't build a house while it's on fire. See, one of the reasons why you have to do all 3, the structural, neurological, and the metabolic issues at the same time, is because if you're doing structural stuff and you're not taking care of the inflammation that your body's getting beat up by, then you're not going to get better. When I look at this picture here with this house on fire, I see this here. So this could be like your symptoms, all right? This is your inflammation, your burning, your problems here going on in your body. If you're trying to do something about healing your body without taking care of the inflammation, I imagine somebody's over here changing this broken window. Now, if you saw somebody changing a broken window on a house that's on fire, wouldn't you think they're a little crazy? Well, I think you're a little crazy because you're trying to do a pinpoint thing. You're trying to act like we're a test tube, all right, or a photograph. You can't adjust that. You can't just do one thing for your body when there's multiple things wrong and there's multiple reasons why you're having your health issues. So let's talk about chronic stress to the brain, spine, and cerebellum. Well, anemia. If you don't have enough oxygen getting to the different parts of your body, they're not going to work right. Sugar imbalance. This is huge. The standard American diet has SAD as its acronym letters for a good reason. All right? The stuff that we put into our body is making us so sick, and it causes problems like blood sugar imbalances. All right? Glucose is what your body needs. Every part of your body needs glucose. All right? Every part of your body needs oxygen. So if you have anemia or blood sugar imbalances that aren't corrected, your body can't heal no matter what. Food sensitivities, all right? Our food is so different. I am 56 years old as I stand here on June 10th in, 2015. And I want to let you know that the food that I eat now is not the same food that is the food that I grew up with. Right? Our food is GMO'd, it's been genetically modified, the amount of pesticides and toxins, the highly processed food that is available there out now, this is causing problems, damaging our digestive system. When you damage your digestive system, it'll cause your body to be sensitive. Do you ever eat some food and all of a sudden you're bloated and you don't feel very good? Maybe you get some constipation, diarrhea, burping up some really foul stuff. A lot of times this is because you got food sensitivities. Immune system imbalance. 80% of your immune system is sitting there right next to your digestive system. So if your digestive system starts getting screwed up, your immune system's going to get screwed up. And what happens when that happens? Autoimmune. Your body starts to attack itself. You know, we've all heard of rheumatoid arthritis, where the joints of your hands and your neck and some other parts, sometimes knees and toes, are being attacked. Your immune system thinks that it's a germ and it's attacking it. So you don't necessarily going to have rheumatoid arthritis, but there's all other kinds of autoimmune problems. Again, a poor diet, inflammation from omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. You've got to have the right balance of that. Hypothyroid function. You know, it's an amazing thing because I'm so thorough that I check all these things with all my patients. You may have a low thyroid and you don't even know it. You know, prescription and non-prescription drugs, oh my gosh, like I said, the side effects are just enormous, and that causes lots of health issues. And hidden infections. Look, these are the metabolic problems that cause inflammation, and that causes cerebellum and brain problems. And what did we say if you have brain and cerebellum problems? You're going to have spine problems. So the metabolic causes need to be addressed if you're going to win the battle against back, neck, disc, and sciatic pain. What do? Comprehensive blood work. So I want to talk about this because patients come to me and say, oh, I don't need my blood work because I've had all kinds of blood work and I was told they're normal. Well, first of all, I do different blood work. All right? Very different. But I also want to tell you more than this. So first of all, lab ranges are horribly inaccurate. Right? Because they use bell curves. So let me tell you something, how this is figured out. So every year, all these people are going and having all these lab tests. The information is sent off to some organization. The organization takes the results from all these lab tests and they put them into a bell curve. You know what a bell curve is? It is a statistical way to analyze lots of data. And the idea with the bell curve is that there's always going to be 20% too high, 20% too low, and then you're going to have this big bell, this big curve, this line here, that's the 60% of normal. This is where we get our A, B, C, D, and F in our grading scale. But this is totally inaccurate. Why? Because who goes and gets labs? Healthy people or sick people? Well, my illusion is that it's sick people that go to the labs, and it's the sick people that turn in their information to this organization that comes up with these bell curves. So even though they say this is the average, the 60%, average doesn't mean normal, all right? See, I don't use these big giant just so you don't die ranges. I use what are called functional lab values, and they're more sensitive to reveal problems. And I didn't make these up. This comes from the Endocrine Society, and that's what I use. So let's talk about that. So when you look at this chart right here, here's our bell curve. 20% too low, 20% too high, and here's your normal average, 60%. But in these areas right here, you'll find lab problems that appear normal. This is why I hear this so often. Dr. Harper, why do I go and get labs? Because my doctor always tells me they're normal. They say, you're normal, you're okay. Well, why do I feel so horrible? Why am I in so much pain? Why am I having so much problems, right? It's not normal. So instead of using these big, giant, just so you don't die labs, ranges, I use the functional ranges. I ask people, do you want to just not die, or do you want to be healthy? Usually everybody says, not be healthy. Just want to be healthy, all right? Very good. So let me give you an example here. So if you look up here, let's talk about glucose, all right? So here's the test. Here's the traditional high-low ranges, 65 to 110. So if a person has this lab result at a medical doctor, 73, they go, oh, well, you're in the range, all right? But look at this range. This is a 45-point range. Really? You think your body is functioning at its highest when it is within this big, giant 45-point different range? That's crazy. See, I use the functional range of 85 to 100. So if I look at this result, it's below 85, you have hypoglycemia. You're not making available to your body tissues, especially your nervous system, that uses almost a full third. You are low in your blood sugar. We've got to make some changes about that. See, so this is why when people come to me and we do these different labs, we get these different results, because there's a problem there. And just because it doesn't fit this bell curve doesn't mean it's not there. It means it's there, and we can get to it sooner, and we can help you get better. So with brain-based therapy, advanced treatments of structural problems, and lab-based metabolic, we get what's called neurostructural integration, all right? Neuro meaning your brain, your spinal cord, your cerebellum, your nerves, right? And then the structural part of your body, the bones, the joints, the nerves, the muscles, the ligaments, all those things start working right and become healthy again. And when you become healthy, what happens? You get out of pain. You get to go back doing those fun things again. Just like Jim did when he got to go back golfing. So this is what makes our office different from every other doctor that you've ever seen. We treat our patients structurally, neurologically, and metabolically. And I'm here to tell you right now that there is no stone unturned, right? And I'm going to get to the bottom of your condition. Like I said, I'm first a detective. I got to figure out what's wrong with you, right? See, I don't accept everybody into my programs. I don't. Why? Because not everybody is a good candidate. First of all, you may not have the problem that I take care of. Second of all, I may not like your attitude. I may feel that you're not going to follow my recommendations. That's going to make me look bad, all right? You're going to go out in the public and say, yeah, I spent that time and money with that Harper guy. Didn't do me any good. What you really should be doing is going, I'm kind of an idiot because I didn't do what he told me to do. He told me to do this and I didn't do it. But human nature isn't that way. So I don't work with just everybody, all right? So, key points here, very important. So, it takes many different things to correct back, neck, disc, and sciatic pain. Not just one thing will do it, all right? There's no magic bullet, folks. Sorry, all right? I know the ads on TV and the medication, the pharmaceutical companies, all these people who don't care about you, they're going to tell you their thing is the thing to do. But I'm going to tell you right now, in nearly 29 years of practice, 7,100 patients, thousands of hours of study, look, no magic bullet. You got to do them all. Right? You got to address the underlying structural, metabolic, and neurological problems to have success. This condition is progressive. Just because the symptoms temporarily go away for whatever reason doesn't mean the problem's gone. And I need to let you know something very clearly. Our recovery program is the most comprehensive and state-of-the-art that exists in San Diego County. In summary, comprehensive blood work looking at functional ranges to identify underlying metabolic causes that are problems that are causing inflammation. Remove the causes and add supplementation to get your body the nutrients that it needs to heal. We're going to do structural correction and brain cerebellum activation. Spinal decompression therapy, the lasers, right? Pacomed horizontal microcurrent therapy, take-home PNRT unit, vibration therapy with oxygen. So, what's next? Now that you have all this information and now you know what to do, what's next? Make your appointment. And this is what I do. I tell every single person what's going to happen, every single person what it's going to cost, every single person what we're going to do the next time we see you. So here we go. For the first 2 visits in my office, I'm going to do a complete neurological exam. I have patients that have come from places like Mayo, all right, Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins. I've had patients that have come from some of the neurological, orthopedic big giants of our country. And as I'm doing my exam, a good portion of the time they say, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm doing my regular exam." "Oh, well, Dr. Mucky Muck didn't do this, or Dr. High and Mighty didn't do that." I said, "I don't know. I have no comment about why they wouldn't do something that I feel is so important and critical to know what's going on with you." If you have any existing labs, or if you have MRI, CT scans, x-rays, anything, bring those in. We'll review those together. We'll talk about what's going on in those things and what the problem is. I'm going to have you fill out what we call the metabolic assessment form. By properly filling out these 150 nosy questions on a scale of 0 to 3 of never ever having them or having them all the time, you're going to tell me exactly what's going on within your body. We're going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars in lab fees. Let me say that again. By properly filling out my paperwork, we're going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars in lab fees. So please, when we have you fill this out, please take the time to do it right. Now, you must be with your spouse or significant other if applicable. If applicable, what does that mean? If you have somebody in your life that would have any say about whether you started with your care, if you were to continue to care, if they had anything to do with your lifestyle, with your food, with your supplements, with your exercises, with keeping your appointments, if anybody had any say about that, they need to be there on that first visit. Why? Because I don't want somebody at home beating you up for coming to my office because they don't know what's going on. See, people have a certain idea what a chiropractor is, right? I don't push on backbones, at least not very much anymore. That used to be my whole practice. But what happened is I got turned on to this structural, neurological, metabolic approach, and now I'm taking care of people that have nowhere else to go, that are facing horrible choices like injections and surgeries, and they don't want those things. They want something natural that's going to fix their problem rather than cover it up. So you are going to bring that person in. Now, at one of my workshops, a lady raised her hand and she says, "Does that mean I have to get married before coming in here?" No, no. If you can make all these decisions on your own, that's fine. But if you're married or you have a significant other at home, they're going to be there. Also, if you have parents or you have children and they're going to have some say, then they need to be there as well. Now, if I can accept you into my program, on day 2 we're going to do what's called a case review. I'm going to go over whatever complete testing needs to be done. I'm going to review those neurological findings from day 1. I'm going to give you an overview of the treatment plan and a review of the fees. Now, in my office, you're going to get a booklet about this big with all the therapies, all the scientific research behind the therapies, my program, the schedule, the financial part, the payment plans, the payment options, with expectations and what you can expect for the treatment program. This big giant booklet all about you and your treatment is for you to keep and take home so you can review it. There is no funny business when it comes to people's time and money in my office. All right? I'm going to tell you what it's going to cost to be in my office here in just a minute because I don't want any surprises. You understand? Great. So, again, you got to be with your spouse or significant other if applicable. So, now because of time limitations, I only accept 10 new recovery patients per month, right? Usually my first 2 visits are $450. If you make an appointment after attending this workshop or watching this DVD, I'm offering you this $450 value for $65. Now, if you come into the program after, if you make the appointment after watching this, all right, and do your reserve your appointment, I'll include 2 days of the treatment. So the exclusive Hockamed horizontal therapy, the laser, the decompression, the PNRT, anything that applies to your case, anything that I'm recommending for a corrective plan, you're going to get that. You're going to get to do that. And people say, well, why do you do that, Dr. Harper? Well, I've never bought a car that I had not driven. And this is so important because I want you to see what's going on. I also want to see how your body reacts to this, right? 99% of the time, it's very favorable. Once in a while, somebody gets a little sore, a little tender, but it's super rare. Certainly nothing like the side effects from drug shots or surgery. So what else do I need for my first appointment? Well, bring shorts, sweatpants, and a t-shirt. I used to put people in gowns. I realized I can do my examination with somebody with something where I can get to them from the kneecaps down, from the elbows down, and lift their shirt up and take a look at their back or look at their neck. So we don't need to do the hospital gown thing anymore. You got to have all the paperwork filled out completely. Got to bring your spouse or significant other. Now, if you schedule an appointment, you show up and you don't have all these things done, we're done. I will just give you your money back and we'll be done and you won't be able to be a patient. Why? Because I'm serious, right? There are so many people waiting to get my care. There's so many people that need my help that I do not want to make any wasted time on my part that blocks somebody else from coming in any sooner than they can, right? So, look, I'm an easygoing guy, but I have bare minimums. I tell the patients on a regular basis, you can't make me give you inadequate care. You can't make me do a bad job as a doctor because I refuse to do that. I love what I do. I love taking care of people. This is my joy in life. I have nothing better to do in my life than go to my office on a Monday morning, smiling and whistling because I know I get to go do the most fun thing that I can ever think of, really. Helping people's a blast. It really is. It's very enjoyable. And, people hugging you and telling you how great you are and everything, that's pretty great too. That's really fun. So let's talk about commitment and insurance, all right? I have 3 rules for acceptance into my recovery programs. You must be willing to make life changes. You can't keep doing the dumb things that made you sick, right? You can't keep doing the activities or the inactivities or the food or the damage or not eating or not taking what you're supposed to. You're going to have to make a change. You have to be accountable for your health, all right? Take accountability. This is not your government's job, right? This is not the insurance company's job. This isn't your doctor's job. This isn't your spouse's or your brother, your sister, mother, daughter, teacher, preacher. It's nobody's job but yours. You have got to take full responsibility. If you don't, we're not going to be a good match because you're going to be making me make the changes in your life, and that's not going to work. And I want to let you know, very clear about the finances. Insurance, Medicare, only pays a small amount, a portion of this care if they pay anything at all. My stuff is so cutting edge. It is so beyond what anybody else is out there doing. All right? They don't want to cover it. Why? They call it experimental. Why? Because they don't want to pay for it. Insurance companies are not to insure your wealth and well-being. They are there to insure their own health, their own wealth, not yours. But we've made these recovery programs so affordable that 96% of the people who see us can get the care they need for as little as $200 to $300 a month for 18 months. Now, most of my programs are 4 to 6 months in care, but we can break out the payments into $200 to $300 a month for the 18th month. Now, 6 things to think about. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious is this illness to you? All right? How do you see yourself in 3 years? Do you want to see yourself continuing to get sick, continuing to have problems, maybe walking with a cane or heaven forbid, a wheelchair? Okay? How's this affected your relationships? Your work, your ability to enjoy life and the fun things that you want to do. If this is changing your life, it's time to make a change in your life to fix this problem. Think of 3 things that you could do if you didn't have a back, neck, disc, or sciatic pain. What would you be able to do? What fun things would be able to come back into your life to make life better? On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about eliminating your chronic condition? Folks, if you're not a 7, 8, 9, 10, we're not a good match. You're not motivated enough to get this taken care of. I recommend you wait until it gets horrible and bad enough and then come into my office. People who are 1 to 6, doc, I'll try. I'll try to keep my appointments. Yeah, I'll try to do this. No try do, all right? I don't accept people like that into my program because they never get well. And again, due to time constraints, I can only accept those that are truly committed. So if you're not truly committed into getting healthy, then don't sign up. Please, don't come into my office. We're definitely not a good match. I want to tell you thank you very much. This has been a real joy for me to share this information. Like I said, I love what I do. I love helping people. I love my patients. This is a very exciting time of my life because we are doing things that are previously thought of miracles. Flat out miracles. I had a patient yesterday come up to me and said, you know what, Dr. Harper, I need to let you know something. Because of the way that you've helped me, because the way you've been so clear and so confident in the way that you're going to get me better, I want to become part of your program. I want to do this. And I want to do this for a number of people. I want to do this for my spouse. She is not going to be my caretaker. I am not going to burden her with some sick old man who's grumpy and doesn't want to be, doing whatever I'm told to do, all right? He says, I'm afraid she's going to leave me. He says, I'm going to do this for my children. I don't want to be a burden to them. I don't want them to have to take care of me, put me in a nursing home. I don't want those kind of things. And most of all, I'm going to do it for my grandkids. I have grandchildren, and as I see them growing up, I'm missing out. I can't travel. I can't go and do fun things. I can't go to their football games because I can't sit. I can't go to their music recitals. I can't go to do those things. And, there's the little ones that want me to pick them up, and I can't do that. Dr. Harper, I'm going to do this. Why? Because I'm going to do it for everybody else in my life. I want to get back and have fun and do the things that make me happy. And I want to just say this in passing. I want to make you happy. I would love to be part of this journey for you, getting your health back. I'd love to get to the underlying cause of your problem. I'd love to be able to doctor with you to get your problem taken care of. And again, most of all, I'd love to teach you how you can take care of yourself and stay happy and healthy for the rest of your life. I'm Dr. John Harper from beautiful Oceanside, California, and I just would like to say one more thing. God bless you. Take care.